we've been getting slightly complicated recently with all the twiddly fiddly French ornamentation and then some Telemann for the bass. So this is by way of a little bit of light relief before we pick some of those things back up again. This is a really lovely but very playable tune for the tenor from a collection called 31 Easy Duos for Two Viols, published by Corda. And we're going to look at number 20. It's an Almain by Robert Johnson. There's a PDF in a link under the video, so do print it out and use it to play along. But if you like it, do buy the whole collection. There's a link to the details for it also under the video, so do look it up. It says for performance on two basses, tenor and bass or treble and bass, and you get the parts in a variety of clefs so that you can play it on any of those combinations. It's definitely worth saying that the definition of easy is quite broad. So things that sit really nicely on a D-tuned instrument, so a treble or a bass, can actually be jolly awkward to play on the tenor, and the same the other way round. Something that fits really comfortably on here, if you try and play the same part on the bass, it's much more awkward. So just take the definition lightly, and don't panic if you find the odd one that, you know, this really doesn't qualify as easy. It might not be that actually you're not as advanced as you thought you were. It's probably just that it fits better on a different size of viol. There's a couple of pieces, particularly towards the end of the collection, that have bits of double stopping in, where if you play them on a bass, one of the double stopped notes is an open string, and that is a jolly sight easier than playing it on here and finding that neither of them is an open string and you've got to be up here somewhere to get both of the notes. So just be careful in your choice of instrument and don't just assume that they're all as straightforward as each other. So this is number 20, the Almain, which really does fit very nicely on the tenor. Two flats, not everybody's favourite key signature, but actually it does really fit very well. We're going to start on a back bow. We're going to start in half position but with chordal fingering, so a second finger on the first note and a third on the G. I'll just play you a bit and let's see what happens. Just look at that much actually. So chordal fingering to start. Just think how much bow you need for the first note. It's a back bow because it's an upbeat, but you don't need the whole jolly lot. It's an Almain. I think it could have a little bit of lift and a little bit of spring in the dots, so don't be afraid of. Rather than it's just a bit lugubrious. In the second full bar, fingering wise, top of the phrase, you could go for an open string. I just think it doesn't quite sound as though it belongs to the previous four. If you play it there, I think it's got more. Sounds like it belongs to the previous note if you play it with a 4. That's a matter of personal taste, but that's what I would do in bar 2. And then open string on the way up here. That's a good place for just falling away a bit in those 3 crotchets. I've used a really different amount of bow for each one. Should we try it together? I'll count in crotchets for now from the top. 1, 2, 3. Going on. Stopping there. So definitely a 4th finger in bar 5 for the G at the top. Definitely a 2 on this C, so you can play the next D with a 4. Some of those sets of quavers come out backwards, but I don't think it matters. The first one, the right way round, I would just let this bow out and then you're fine. end of it, in bar 7, I've played the first quaver A as an open string, then I've put a 1 on the G, a 3 on the A, so it saves us crossing the string and back and forth. But also, when you put the 1 down on that G, I would bar it across to the crotchet D at the end of the bar, because when we go on, that is going to turn out to have been jolly useful. That's the end of bar 8. So we'll bar from the beginning, and we'll conveniently have that D under our first finger. Let's play from the top, shall we? 1, 2, 3. Bow you've used in that first 8 bars. I don't think I ever got beyond the middle. It just sits really nicely in the best bit of the bow. If it's just not necessary. I think it's quite a contained and quite an elegant thing. Shall we go on? This is the last crotchet of 8, and we've arranged for our finger to be barring across from the G before it. And I'm going to stay on the F string and play the A with a 3 and the B flat with a 4 at the beginning of bar 9. Whoops, missed that. Then open A string. And here, like we did at the beginning, my preference is for a 4th finger in there rather than, just sticks out too much for me. This is bar 10. So now we're in first position, reaching back for the B flat. And again, just coming away a bit in those crotchets. Here we are, nicely the right way round. 2 on that C, this is bar 14, so that the D comes on a 4. And now we're in half position, and I'm going to stay there. So the G has a 2nd finger on it, and the A has a 4. Because again, when we come to go on, that is going to be a very helpful position to be in. Shall we play together the last crotchet of bar 8 after 3? 1, 2, 3. There's a few bits of bowing to think about in there, and I don't mean in terms of direction, I mean in terms of a whole string of quavers, 3 whole bars of continuous quavers from 13. Potentially very, very, very dull, but we've got to do something about it, haven't we? Why don't we find a shape that just acknowledges the ones that don't move by step. So we've got these really smoothly, but those slightly short, slightly lifted. So I'm really connected to the string with this finger for the ones that are smooth. And I'm just letting all the pressure go and using my ring finger to just take a bit of the weight for the 2 that are falling away. Then connect to the string again. You hear the next bit of the sequence falling away again in those 2, and then so you're just doing a bit of painting with this hand. Notes that have got plenty of sound, plenty of connection to the string, and notes that you're just letting fall away a little bit. Let's do the same again. This is the last crotchet of bar 8. It goes 1, 2, 3. moment. That's quite a lot to think about, isn't it? But let's do it. This is the end of 16 and we're in half position, so we can start that pair of quavers on a fourth finger and they're all on one string. I would like the next set also on one string, so I'm going to reach for a 4 at the top of, in bar 17 on the top note. Then I'm going to bar with a 1, 2 on the C, chordal fingering up to the F. Don't forget, when you chordal finger, the whole point is that we're allowing the bottom note to carry on sounding. So if when you chordal finger, you carefully put your 3 down but take your 2 off at the same time, the whole thing was completely pointless. You may as well just have popped the 2 over. So when you've played the C, keep it down and add the F. Personal taste about this next G, I like it on a 4, connected to the quavers because it's on the same string. No reason why you couldn't. It's the highest note of the piece, isn't it? Almost. Could go for a top string. It's certainly the highest note in that phrase. So there's no reason why you couldn't. That is just personal taste. And again here, the C to the F, chordal finger, but make sure you leave the C down. Here's a bit where you think bowing wise, oh, I want the long note on a forward bow, great. But now my next long note, what am I going to do? Go back and put it, I wouldn't bother. I think forward bow on the first one. Make the most of the fact that you can get back to the tip. So there's a good kind of economics of bow here. I've travelled quite a long way, but it's okay, I'm not stuck at the heel because look, let's enjoy that. Then I think I'd go for open string at the end of 20. You have to leave it a little bit early to get down to the G at the bottom. I think that's okay. There's a nice feature about making it a bit hoppy. If you try and join them, you're going to hear the A string on the way down, so it's fine to leave that open D at the end of 20 a little bit early and attach the quaver to the next tied crotchet. Personal taste again here, I like the 4 in the middle of 22, and then we're in first position, reaching back, 1 on this G, 3 on the A, and we've finished in first position. Actually, that was a daft idea, wasn't it? We'd be much better with a 2 on the G and a 4 on the A, because I've just looked ahead. We want to be there. Let's do that. So that's in 23. 2 on this G, 4 on the A, and stay in half position because of what comes next. Should we go from the end of 16 together? We're in half position, fourth finger, all on one string, right at the tip of the bow. 1, 2, 3. Come all the way back to the tip. Now the next bit is an exact repeat, but we're at the wrong end of the bow, aren't we? I would just take a breath, reset, back to the tip and start the end of 24 on a forward bow at the tip. Shall we do it? 2, 3. How about the whole thing then from the top? It's such a lovely tune, this. I really like it. It's very satisfying. And it does fit really nicely, doesn't it? Here we go, from the very beginning then. 1, 2, 3. Just a couple of other bowing things to think about regarding kind of shaping things and making sure that you're spelling out the shape of the phrasing with this hand. So in that second half, from the upbeat to 17, there's an obvious sequence, isn't there, of rising, then higher, even higher, made it to the top. So just dynamically, we could mark that, couldn't we, by using less bow and less pressure at the beginning. A bit more, and by here I am right at the tip. I'm close to the bridge. I've got plenty of pressure on the bow, but as this falls away, I'm coming down. So by the time I get to the crotchet at the end of that falling sequence, I've got much less pressure on than I had on the G at the top, and I'm putting it back on for the F. Just tickling that B flat, putting the pressure back on for here. So again, you're doing your steering, your phrase shaping with this hand. Everything you think has to come out through this stick here. I'll play you a bass part, shall I? As we start together, I need to count us in, and as we've been counting in crotchets, let's keep doing that. So 3 crotchets in, and off we go together. 1, 2, 3. So I think if a dancer was trying to dance to this, they would moan that it was too slow for an Almain. So shall we try a slightly quicker version? I don't think it needs to be sprightly and really quick. I think it could just do with having slightly more lift to it. A sort of... etc. So shall we try it? Here we go. 1 and 2.